Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the game preview ahead of Everton's final Premier League home game of the season. Thank the Lord for that one. Finally, Everton can stop playing football at Goodison Park for at least another couple of months or so. We are taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock kick-off, and the biggest sort of excitement about this game is the fact that 6,500 Evertonians will be present at Goodison Park to witness this one. If they wish to be present, of course, look, 6,000 Evertonians might turn round, or 6,500 Evertonians might turn round after watching that horror show the other night and think, actually, do you know what? I don't want to turn up. I don't want to watch Everton. I'm alright. I'll stay at home and watch it, at home. But I wouldn't particularly blame them for it. But that's the biggest excitement going into this game, really, is finally, we'll see fans at Goodison Park for the first time, obviously, since mid-December, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come, and hopefully by next season we'll all be back in Goodison Park, cheering on the Blues, because it's very, very evident that they need it. It's very, very evident that this whole myth about, toxic Goodison Park crowd, and this is why we don't win big games at home, because of the toxic crowd, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. If this season has proved anything, it's that these players and this team can't play at Goodison Park without the fans. They simply can't do it. And we're going into another game that I'm not confident with at all. I'd love to sit here and say, I'm confident because Wolves haven't had a great season and this, that and the other, but we've literally just turned up and lost to a team that have been relegated for 5 weeks, and that's no disrespect to Sheffield United. Sheffield United were value for money. The other night they turned up, they battled, they fought, there was grit, there was determination, they wanted to play for each other, they played for pride, and they beat us comfortably. But that's the worrying thing, is that when you're coming off the back of not only a home defeat, but a home defeat to a team that had only, won one away game all season, drawn one and lost 15, and I don't think they kept a clean sheet away from home all season. And not only did they beat you, but they beat you quite comfortably. They outfight you, they outbattle you, they outplay you. Then, what confidence have we got going into this game against, albeit, a Wolves team that, aren't brilliant either. Let's be honest, Wolves haven't had a great season. It's not like, they're in fantastic form themselves, but they're a team that can play football, and at this point, I honestly think any team that can play football can turn up at Goodison Park and get a result, because that's how bad Everton are at home, where we're absolutely atrocious. And to be honest, I just can't wait for this season to be over with now. I really, really can't. We had a massive opportunity the other night, and a massive opportunity against Aston Villa as well, to, get a couple of wins together and go into this game, final home game of the season, fans returning to Goodison, 6,500 fans. We know how much of an impact that's going to have. Look at how much of an impact having 2,000 fans in December had. It sounded like there was 20, 30, 40,000 at Goodison. There was only 2,000. There's 3 times that many now for tomorrow's game. And we knew that if we could beat Aston Villa, if we could beat Sheffield United, then we'd be going into this one needing 3 points, but being confident, having a bit of momentum, having a bit of, bit of form under our belt, and also going into it in front of 6,500 Evertonians that would spur us on to get the 3 points. Whereas now I think we're all just deflated, aren't we? We're all just ready for the season to end. We're all just ready for, for next season now, ready for the summer, ready to go out and sign some new players, because that's what these players have done to us. That's what this club have done to us. They've gotten us to a point where this game could have been massive, could have been absolutely massive. We could have had European football riding on this game if you turn up and put a half decent performance in against a team that's been relegated for 5 weeks. But we didn't. We turned up, we couldn't be bothered, we didn't want to battle, we didn't want to fight, we didn't want to get involved, we didn't want to match their energy, and we didn't want it more than they did. Now, this is a team, Sheffield United, who had nothing to play for, and they wanted it more than we did when we supposedly had European football to play for. Well, now Everton have got nothing to play for other than league position, which should be a motivation to the team, should be a motivation to these players, because you want to finish as high as you possibly can, and also financially as well. I think each place is worth a couple of £1 million, which mightn't seem an awful lot, but in these times, with what's gone on over the last year or so financially, with COVID and stuff like that, every place and every couple of £1 million is massively important. So hopefully we go out and put a performance in. Hopefully we go out and turn up. I might surprise everybody thinking this, saying this. I've got absolutely no confidence going into tomorrow, but it really wouldn't surprise me if Everton turned up and put a really good performance in for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because there's no pressure on us whatsoever. European football's gone now, it's out the window. There's absolutely no pressure on this team to turn up and perform. We've got nothing to fight for, nothing to play for. The season is pretty much done, dusted, over with. And the fact that there's no pressure, the fact that they've had almost that weight taken off their shoulder, which is ridiculous to say, because if professional footballers can't play with a little bit of pressure, then they shouldn't be playing professional football. But like I said, the fact that, you know, the season's done now in terms of European aspirations, maybe they'll turn up and maybe they'll think, actually, do you know what, we've got nothing to play for now, there's no pressure on us, so we'll put a performance in. Secondly, I don't think they'll get away with, I don't think the players will think they can get away with those types of performances like the one against Sheffield United on Wednesday against Wolves, because again, like I said, there's 6,500 fans in that stadium, and 6,500 Evertonians won't let, you know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin get away with missing chances like he missed. He won't let, you know, the midfield get away with just walking around and not seeming interested. He won't let the defence get away with making silly mistakes. So I expect, it's mad. It really, really is mad. I don't know with Everton anymore. I really, really don't know with Everton anymore, because I can sit here and say I expect a reaction. I expect us to turn up and fight because there's fans in the stadium and we've got nothing to play for now. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we got absolutely battered 4 or 5-0 tomorrow. I really, really wouldn't, because again, typically at the end of the seasons, really, when Everton have got nothing to play for, we go the opposite way. Some teams, like Sheffield United, like Fulham a couple of seasons ago, like Bournemouth Bournemouth at home on the last day of the season, some teams turn up without pressure and just play freely and fluidly and play good football and battle and fight, and their fans are standing there saying, yeah, this is great, but where was this fight all season when we were in a relegation battle? Now we've been relegated, it's no good turning up and showing a bit of fight. Everton don't do that. Everton, to have the pressure off our shoulders and then go, yeah, well, we're on the beach now, we've got our flip-flops on, so we don't even need to turn up, i.e. Bournemouth at home last season. So, like I said, this is what Everton does to you. This is the inconsistency of Everton Football Club. I really, really, really wouldn't be surprised if we turned up tomorrow, we battled, we fought, we put in a really good performance, and we're all sitting here tomorrow night saying, you know, why couldn't we have done that against Sheffield United on Sunday? Why couldn't we have done that against Aston Villa the week before? But I also really wouldn't be surprised if Everton turned up and basically continued in the way in which they've been for the majority of this season, and that's just get absolutely steamrolled at home and not bother turning up and putting a performance in. Like I said, I don't think they will, purely because of the fans aspect. Not as much to do with the pressure being off, but I don't think these players will think they can turn up and get away with that with fans in the stadium. I really, really don't. And look, maybe that's a subconscious thing for the players, you know, when fans haven't been there, that they sort of think they can get away with a little bit more, and maybe they're sort of overlooking opponents. You know, maybe they went into the Sheffield United game thinking, do you know what, we'll beat these have been relegated, this will be comfortable, whereas now, because the fans are there, they'll consciously know they've got to make more of an effort. I don't know. Look, ultimately, again, like I said, the season's done for. It's absolutely done. There's no European football. The only thing we're fighting for is pride, and let's be honest, these players have got no pride. They haven't fought for pride in weeks and weeks and weeks. If they wanted to fight for their pride, then they could have really ended the season strongly and took us into a European position, and we'd have all been sitting here saying, okay, it's been a bumpy road, but at least we ended it strongly and we're in Europe, whereas they didn't. They had a chance to do the talking with their feet and they didn't do it. None of them turned up. Barring Jordan Pickford, none of them turned up on Sunday night against Sheffield United, and it was utterly embarrassed. And I was embarrassed to be an Evertonian, absolutely embarrassed to be an Evertonian, because we didn't only lose to a relegated team, we got absolutely beaten off the park, and we didn't look at any point like getting back into the game, other than the odd snapshot here and there. We didn't look interested at any point. Difficult game, obviously, against Wolves, currently sitting 12th in the Premier League, being a very sort of up and down, topsy-turvy season for Wolverhampton Wanderers. 12 wins, 9 draws, 15 losses. Obviously, we beat them at Molineux earlier on in the season, and Alex Iwobi goal, I think, was the winner on that day. The only goal Alex Iwobi scored, and probably the only decent game Alex Iwobi's had this season. And like I said, Wolves are sort of seeing themselves, I think, in a bit of a transition season. I'm still a little bit confused when I hear pundits and Wolves fans talk about transitions, and that's not a dig, because I just don't understand what they're transitioning from. They play the same formation, they've got the same manager, barring, a couple of players, it's the same squad. So, and again, like I said, that's not a dig. Ultimately, I don't understand what that word, which transitioning is, because what are you transitioning from? It's the same style, it's the same manager. I don't understand it. Obviously, Wolves have had a couple of big injuries this season, none more than Raul Jimenez, who I think is an absolutely exceptional striker. Picked up a really nasty head injury, and obviously has spent the majority of this season out. I'm not too sure what the update is on Raul Jimenez. Hopefully he's okay and he's recovering well, because it was a really nasty injury. But that has hindered Wolves massively, absolutely massively, because they've never been able to replace Raul Jimenez. Obviously they sold Diego Jota to the other lot earlier on in the season, and when you lose a clinical goal scorer, and for me one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League, in Raul Jimenez, to injury, and you've already sold on another one of your goal scorers in Diego Jota, because you haven't anticipated Raul Jimenez picking up such a bad injury, you leave yourself really unstuck. And obviously they tried to bring in young Fabio Silva, I think it is, and he hasn't really hit the ground running at all. I don't massively rate him, and overall Wolves have just struggled to really get any consistency and have that season where they push on. We've seen Wolves over the last couple of seasons come into the Premier League, and I remember them last season, they absolutely steamrolled us. I think it was it at home or away from home? It was one of the games during the after we come back from the lockdown, and they just absolutely walked rings around us. And it was at that point, it was a little bit like, it was one of those games where you sit down and you go, yeah, Everton are miles away from Wolves, never mind miles away from Man City and Man United and Chelsea and all of these clubs. We're miles away from them. Well, obviously, things change over the course of a season, and like I said, Wolves haven't had a great season whatsoever. They've really struggled and they've sort of stagnated, but they're still sitting 12th in the Premier League. They're still safe, and I think for Wolves fans, the assumption will be that they'll go out in the summer, they'll spend and they'll build, and they'll come back stronger again next season, and I'll probably try and push for those European places, as they have done consistently for the last few seasons or so. But again, it's mad, isn't it? Because on paper, when you look at Wolves and you look at some of Wolves' results and some of Wolves' performances this season, you expect Everton to turn up and beat Wolves. I watched them against Tottenham the other day, and whilst they defended well for 35, 40 minutes, something like that, Tottenham's quality just shone through in the end, and just become far too much for Wolves to handle. Harry Kane's ability to score one-on-one just become far too much for Wolves to be able to deal with. And you would like to think that ability-wise and quality-wise and technical ability, Everton have got more than enough to turn up tomorrow and beat this Wolves team. But then you look at it and you sort of think, have we got more than enough to beat this Wolves team? Have we got quality in the side? For me, the last two games, certainly the Sheffield United game, boils down to one of two things. And I know Baz alluded to this on the final word on Toffee TV yesterday. Boils down to one of two things. These players either don't care or they're not good enough. And I know a lot of people lean towards they don't care, they're not interested, they're not bothered about the club, they're not bothered about succeeding, they're not bothered about winning, losing, drawing, and I get that, and I do think it's a bit of that as well. I think the attitude at this football club at the moment stinks. I think it absolutely reeks, and the attitude of these players absolutely reeks, and if the players go out tomorrow and just again fold over and lose and this, that and the other, I'll be on the verge of saying sell them all, get rid of them all, to be honest with you, because it was rock bottom on Sunday night. Rock bottom. That is not acceptable for this football club. If you are a player, a manager, a coach, a member of the board, a member of the staff, and you think that's acceptable, then you need to go. I don't care if you're Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ben Godfrey, James Rodriguez, Carlo Ancelotti, Dave the Dinner Lady, Farhad Mashiri, Bill Kenwright. I don't care who you are. If you think that that's acceptable for this football club, then you need to leave, because that is not acceptable. And I'm not saying that any of those people I've just mentioned do think it's acceptable, but anyone at that football club that looks at that result on Sunday and goes, yeah, well, it is what it is, it's Everton, go. Please just leave, because you're part of that problem. You're part of this problem of this weak defeatist mentality that believes that those type of results are acceptable for this football club. They're absolutely not whatsoever, and these players have got a responsibility tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, it is. It's tomorrow night, isn't it? These players have got an opportunity tomorrow night to turn up and prove to every one of us that they actually will battle, and they do care, and they want to play for the shirt, and they want to play for the club, and they want to fight, and they want to prove that they should be here next season. And if they don't, then big decisions are to be made in the summer on a lot of them. Big decisions are to be made. But they have to go out and show that. They absolutely have to go out and show that. And look, like I said, on paper, you would hope that Everton have got more than enough quality to go out and beat Wolves tomorrow, and more than enough technical ability. But like I said, we're boiling it down to these players either don't care or they're not good enough. And I lean towards the latter. I lean towards these players just not being good enough. I think there's only so much fighting we can do for they don't care, they don't want to play for the shirt arguments. When are we going to just sit here and say, maybe they're just not good enough? Maybe these players aren't good enough to play 2-3 games in a week. Maybe these players aren't clinical enough. Maybe the players don't create enough chances. I mean, me and Tom sat down yesterday. Big thanks to everybody who checked that video out. By the way, got another couple of videos coming out with Tom over the next few days. We've got one where we talk about midfielders and how we can improve the midfield, and one where we talk about the forward line as well. Yesterday we spoke about generally the recruitment strategy for this summer and how it needs to change, as well as where we need to improve in the defensive line, and we talked about the goalkeeper as well. But we sat down yesterday and we spoke about this Everton team, and we spoke about the fact that maybe we just don't have enough quality. Maybe we're just not good enough. Maybe these players aren't as good as we think they are, or aren't as good as we want them to be. And as well as that, there's no goals in this Everton team, and that's been a massive issue for years and years and years now. Massive issue for years. And we brought in, I remember when we signed Doucouré, Allen and James in the summer, and I'm not saying Doucouré, Allen and James haven't been a success, by the way, but I remember when we signed them, I sat here, probably on a live stream, and said, right, James will get us 15 in a season, because I thought he'd play a lot more than he has. Silly of me, I probably should have known that he was going to spend a lot of his time out injured, because that was why we signed him, that was what we signed him for. If he wasn't injury prone, he wouldn't be at Everton. I said, Doucouré will get you 7 or 8, and Allen will get you 5. Now, Doucouré, I think's got 3 in the Premier League. Allen hasn't got a goal, and James has got 6. So where I thought we might get 15, 20 goals out of those 3 players coming in the summer, we've actually got 9 goals, which isn't anywhere near enough when you look at the rest of the team. Where the goal, you take Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we can talk about Richarlison all we like, and look, Richarlison's had a bad season this season, and the reality of the situation is Richarlison can't afford to have a bad season. That's the point. He can't afford to have a bad season, because we can't afford that for Richarlison. 6 Premier League goals he scored this season. 6 goals in other competitions as well, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. And Tom sat down, we sat down yesterday, and Tom said, Richarlison is only 6 goals away from what he usually gets. Usually it's the 12-13 mark. So yes, he's had a bad season, but it's not like he's been, every other season he's been up 20, 25 goals. But that's how important Richarlison's goals have been, is that when he's scoring 13 goals a season, we're lauding him as having a brilliant season, because nobody else in this team scores goals. I know people are critical of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I understand that, and I'm not saying Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't need to improve. I'm not saying Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the finished article. But imagine where Everton would be without Dominic Calvert-Lewin's 20 league goals this season, or 16 league goals this season, 21 league goals in all competitions, 21 goals in all competitions, sorry. Imagine where Everton would be without that, because who scores in this team? Take Dominic Calvert-Lewin out, you've got Richarlison on 6, you've got James on 6, and I think Gylfi's got 5. Other than that, I think Yerry Mina maybe have 4 early on in the season, but he's not getting involved now. Michael Keane had a couple early on in the season, but he's not getting involved now. Allan, none. Tom Davis, none. Iwobi, 1. Bernard, none in the league. Who else features? Josh King, none. Albeit he hasn't had a lot of chances, but no goals. Dean, none. Coleman, none. Holgate, none. Godfrey, none. Gomez, none. Delph, none. That's not good enough. That is absolutely not good enough. And I get, you could say, yeah, well, Allan wasn't brought in to score goals, and Tom Davis isn't brought in to score goals. That's fine. But what we've gone from having in the last few seasons or so is we've missed out on Richarlison's 6-7 goals that he usually score extra the season. We've missed out on Luca Dean's 4 or 5 that he scores a season. And we never even had goals to start with. So we've gone from saying, right, this team needs more goals, whilst having Luca Dean scoring and Richarlison getting 13 and Dom still getting a few and other goals in there, to now having less goals than what we had then when we were saying we needed more goals. It's ridiculous. We've got wingers. Oh, Bernard got 1 against United. There you go, 1 league goal for Bernard, 1 league goal for Alex Iwobi. There are 2 wingers. There are 2 wide players. If you're counting Richarlison as a striker, which we will go on and talk about in a moment, because I think Richarlison needs a change of system tomorrow night. But if you're counting Richarlison as a striker, Our two wide forwards have got 2 goals between them all season. That is absolutely disgusting. And it's disgraceful. And this is the importance of going out and bringing in wide players in the summer. Like I said, myself and Tom sat down. That video will be up over the next couple of days or so. We need to go out and bring in goals. Ideally, Alan needs to get 5 next season. Decore needs to get 7. James needs to get 12. And I get that mightn't be realistic because James will spend a lot of time out injured and Alan doesn't really get involved and Decore isn't really a goal scorer. And if that's the case, then you need to buy 2 wingers this summer who you can guarantee are getting 10, 15 goals each. Because what are we going to do realistically? It's all well and good sitting here saying we've had a bad season and it's been a bad end and there's nothing riding on the Wolves game and this, that and the other. But what are we going to do next season if Dominic Calvert-Lewin slows down? What are we going to do next season if Dominic Calvert-Lewin has a one-off season where he only scores 8 goals? Are we putting all of our reliances on Richarlison, who has had a one-off season this season and might have another bad season next season? We could be in serious trouble next season. And I mean this, by the way. I don't think we will be, because I think Carlo Ancelotti is a world-class manager, and I think Carlo Ancelotti has proven this season, whether you like him or not, whether you're happy with him or not, he's proven this season that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have anywhere near the away record that we've got, because no other manager to be able to set us up as tactically well as he does away from home. Yes, at home it's been a shambles, and I get he has to take responsibility for that, but without Carlo Ancelotti, we'd be struggling this season because we wouldn't have got the away results that we've had. But we need to fill this team with goals now. There's simply not enough goals in it, and that's proven on a number of occasions this season. We will get in the live comments in a moment. By the way, if you're enjoying the team so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Really do appreciate all of the support. Like I said, it's going to be a difficult game. This one, it's difficult to get any sort of motivation for it, isn't it? It's difficult to get excited. That's all. I stick with. I said it yesterday or the day before. I'm only excited for this game for one reason and one reason only, and that's to see fans back at Goodison Park. Unfortunately, I didn't get a ticket. If you are one of those fans that got a ticket, by the way, to Goodison, get down there on Wednesday night and enjoy it. Soak it up. Revel in the fact that you're back at Goodison, you're back at home. Things are returning to some form of normality. Don't worry about those players on the pitch, because they haven't worried about us for the majority of the time that they've played at Goodison Park this season. They've put in bottling after bottler after bottler performance. Week in, week out. They've lost to teams that we should be steamrolling. They've not shown any effort. They've not shown any grit. They've not shown any fight. They've not shown any determination. Don't worry about them. Get to Goodison Park, and the game can just be something that's sort of on in the corner, like when you're sitting at home and you've got a new couch in your living room, and you're sort of just sitting there and you're like, oh, isn't this couch boss? Look at this. It's got this thing that goes up, and it's got a cup holder here, and it's even got this arse warmer that you put on when you're a bit cold, but you've got the telly on in the background, but you're not really interested in the telly. You're sort of just there, and you're like, yeah, what's happening there? Oh yeah, whatever. But you're dead made up about this new arse warmer couch. Don't worry about what's going on the pitch. These players need to understand that those types of performances aren't acceptable, and these players need to turn up tomorrow night and show it, and show us as fans, and the 6,500 fans that'll be at Goodison, and the rest of us that'll be watching at home, that they do care, that they do want to fight, that they do want to play, because that's rock bottom. Sunday's rock bottom. You can't get any lower than that. Honestly, if we get beat 5-6-0 by Wolves on tomorrow night, it still won't be any lower than how I felt the other night. You can't get any lower than that. There's no hiding, there's no excuses. We've not seen anything in the media from Everton Football Club. We've not seen, I think Luca D maybe put an Instagram post out, the only player to come out and put anything. Those players should be embarrassed, absolutely embarrassed. I put a tweet out on Twitter yesterday. Sorry, it wasn't. It was on Sunday night, and it was a picture of USM Finch Farm, obviously Everton's training facility, and it was a picture of the gym in USM Finch Farm, a room and a facility that the majority of players will visit multiple times in their day. And there's a massive sign in the gym underneath the clock, which is, again, something that the players are probably looking at every day to think, when can I go home and not want to be here? But there's a massive sign underneath the clock that says nothing but the best. And then there's an absolutely gigantic it's landscape poster to the right of that message of Everton fans celebrating at Goodison Park, a full capacity Goodison Park, screaming, shouting, celebrating. I said on Twitter the other night, Those players, all of them, need to go in one by one and stand for 5 minutes, read that message and look at those fans and actually understand what it means to play for this football club, understand what it means to wear this shirt, understand what it means to run out of Goodison Park and represent Everton, because I represent Everton, everyone in the comments represents Everton, all of the global Evertonians across the world represent Everton. At the moment, those players don't represent Everton. That performance, those performances like Sunday night aren't an Everton performance. That's not Everton Football Club. That's lazy, it's spineless, it's gutless, it's pathetic, it's embarrassing. That's not Everton Football Club. That doesn't represent Everton. So if you want to prove that you want to be here next season and you want to fight and you want to play for this football club and you care about us as fans, go out and prove it tomorrow. Go out and show that you can turn up against, let's have it right, a decent Wolves team, but a Wolves team who've had a dreadful season this season and are more than beatable. Go out and beat them. It's not hard. It's really, really not hard. Wolves have got some good players that I think will cause us potential issues. The likes of Adama Traore, who I'm not one of his biggest fans. I'm really, really not. But ultimately, he's fast, he's quick, he can beat a man, and he's much quicker than anything we've got. So I think he could be a potential worry. Certainly, given that we've got a 30-odd-year-old Seamus Coleman on right back. Now, Traore might play on the right-hand side and might play down Luca Dean's side, but I think we've got to be first to him. We've got to defend really well tomorrow ultimately, because again, Wolves have got some technical, very good players. They've not got an awful lot of pace in the team other than Traore, but they've got some technical, really good players. C-Play said, what are you talking about? Just because the manager's world class, he can't make the players tired. It's up to them. Cam is right. We need a new squad. If you don't think that, then no, we do. I'm not allowing Carlo Ancelotti a free reins, by the way. I'm not just going to sit here and say he can't be criticised or he's not done anything wrong this season. He has. Some of his substitutions have been pathetic. Some of his team selections have been dreadful. And to be honest with you, one big issue I have with Carlo Ancelotti, and I've had it for weeks now, and I've still got it, to be honest with you, and I'll talk about it in a moment, is the fact that we're still not seeing Tom Davies consistently, to be honest with you. I think it's ridiculous. I think Tom Davies should be in this team every single week. He's the only one that shows that he really cares. He's the only one that digs deep. He's the only one that battles. He's the only one that fights. And I'd love to sit down with Carlo Ancelotti, and if I could, before I asked him about who his favourite player of all time is and how much he loves Crosby Beach, I'd sit down and I'd go, firstly, Carlo, first question, why isn't Tom Davies starting games of football for Everton? Because he's more effective than he's more effective than Andre Gomez. He's more effective than Gylfi Sigurdsson. He's more effective than Fabian Delph as a centre midfielder. So why isn't he starting games of football? Why isn't he even coming off the bench? So that's one issue I've got with Carlo Ancelotti. But again, I agree. This squad isn't good enough. We need energy. We need physicality. We need players that are going to come in and want to fight for the shirt, want to play for this football club, and also we need technical ability, like I've just mentioned there. Other than Dominic Calvert-Lewin this season, our top goal scorer is James with 9, and he spent the majority of the season out injured, and we've all sat here and moaned about it. Imagine Dominic Calvert-Lewin wouldn't have had a 16-17 goal season. We'd be absolutely done in for. We'd be struggling. We really would be struggling. We certainly wouldn't be anywhere near a European fight, I'll tell you that. Now, Carlo Ancelotti, I think, is if anything, overachieved with this squad. I really do. And some people might have a go at me at that, but I really do think he's overachieved with this squad. He's got a bang average Premier League squad fighting for Europe. He's got a bang average Premier League squad to have 37 points away from home. That's unheard of for a club like Everton. It's unheard of for a team like this. At what point do we sit down and just go, these players aren't that great? They're not that great. Yes, there might be an element of them not caring, and that's fine, but they're just not that great. It's as simple as that. But this is the chance tomorrow. If there's any Everton players watching, which there won't be, highly doubt there will be, go and show it tomorrow. I don't care. This is you know what I've just said before about the Sheffield United performance isn't Everton. That's not Everton. That makes sense, because we lost to relegated Sheffield United. Everton have lost games like that in the past. Everton have lost to teams that we should be beating. Everton have lost to teams that you think going into the ground, yeah, we'll win this game comfortably. That's not what I'm talking about when I say that's not Everton. Everton lose games like that, and I've done in the past. What I'm saying when I'm saying that's not Everton is the fact that those players turned up, didn't show any grit, didn't show any bottle, didn't show any fight, didn't show any spine, didn't show any quality, didn't show any determination. That's not Everton. If you turn up tomorrow against Wolves and you give 150% and you throw every challenge in and you battle and you fight and you work hard and you're in the faces and you like I said, you're not giving them a moment's praise, not only will we beat Wolves, but if we lose somehow, then we'll all sit here and go, well, at least we tried, at least we fought, at least we battled, at least there was a bit of something in there, at least there was a bit of heart in there. That's all we want as fans. All we want is those players to go out every time they wear that Everton shirt and give 110%. That's the bare minimum. If you lose to a better team, you lose to a better team. If you have an off day and you lose, you have an off day and you lose. But when you're going out and you're not showing 100% and you're looking like you couldn't give a shit and you're just strolling around and you're looking like you're going through the motions, that's the issue. And there's no excuse for these players to not turn up tomorrow and, not give 150%. And if we do, we'll win. We'll win this game because Wolves have had a poor season. The last few results, lost to Spurs 2-0. Obviously, last time out, beat Brighton 2-1 the week before. 2 at West Brom, 1-1 before that. Lost to Burnley 4-0. Which obviously was a massive shock defeat. And then beat Sheffield United the week before 1-0. Obviously is not great to read out after the results on Sunday night. But like I said, Wolves have got some technical, very, very good players. They've had some big injuries this season, obviously, not just Raul Jimenez. I think Pedro Neto spent some time out injured. But they've got the likes of João Moutinho, who's a seasoned professional, good quality player. Ruben Neves, who I really, really like. I think he's a top player, technical ability-wise. He's fantastic. Obviously, they played that back line with Connor Cody at the back. They've implemented a couple of youngsters into the team this season. They've got the likes of Fabio Silva, like we said, who's had a dreadful season and doesn't really look like he's any good, but knowing us, will probably go and score an hat-trick on tomorrow night, because that's what players like that do against Everton. But yeah, like I said, Wolves are a team with a lot of technical ability, not a lot of pace, not a lot of energy, barring obviously Adama Traore, who is that one player who could cause us massive issues tomorrow. I think if you allowed Adama Traore to get at you and allow him to put balls into the box, then you're probably going to struggle. He hasn't got the best outlet in the world. He's not got the best final ball, but he's very, very, very quick. And for me, it's going to take somebody like a Ben Godfrey to mark him or to give him a watch out, because I think Ben Godfrey's probably the only player in this Everton team with the acceleration and with the pace to keep up with Adama Traore. He didn't play the last game against Everton. I think he was on the bench because he had an injury. Obviously, the game where we won 1-0 while we scored at Molineux, but look, it's a completely different game. It's a completely different, Everton are a completely different team away from home. We're the worst team I've watched at Goodison this season, Everton. That's the honest truth. So, it doesn't matter how good Wolves are, doesn't matter how bad Wolves are. At this point, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because we've just lost to a team that have been relegated for 5 weeks and hadn't kept a clean sheet away from home all season, and they absolutely played us off the park. So, anyway, let's get into the live comments. Then we will get into our predicted starting 11s in a moment. By the way, I really, really do want to talk about that. But let's get into the live comments before we do that. Big thanks to everybody for watching live. If you are watching and you are enjoying, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Recently hit 3,800 subscribers yesterday as well. So a massive, massive thank you to everybody who has subscribed, everybody that's new, everybody that's been with us for a while. I honestly really, really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, it would mean a massive amount to me. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers now, which would be gigantic. Hopefully we can hit that before the start of next season. But a massive, massive thank you for all of your support. Andy says, morning Cam mate, morning Andy mate. B says, hey mate, watch your other video. Cheers fella, I hope you enjoyed it. C-Play says, I can't wait until I'm back at Goodison Park. Me too mate, to be honest, me too. Look, I sit here and say we've been dreadful at home this season, and I wonder if any of those 6,500 fans will be thinking, having second thoughts about going tomorrow. But if I had the ticket, I'd be there straight away, mate. Even given the Sheffield United results, even given how bad we've been at home, I just can't wait to get back to Goodison. To be honest, that's home for me. Goodison's home. Goodison's where I've grown up, where I've, where I know. I haven't been for over a year. March 2020 was the last time I sat at Goodison Park, and that's saddening for me. So I'd be there, and I expect every one of those fans that have got a ticket for tomorrow will be there as well for that same reason. Forget the players on the pitch and how dreadful they've been. Just the fact that Everton is our home and we haven't been there for such a long time. C-Play says, Cam, or Goodison is our home, should I say, sorry. C-Play says, Cam, who do you think is going to win the Euros? Do you think Carlo will be watching players to see who would improve our squad? Yeah, I think Brands and Carlo Ancelotti will be having a look at the Euros, firstly because they're football fans, and they'll probably be watching like the rest of us. Well, I'm not massively interested in international football, but I like the summer tournaments, the World Cup, the Euros, etc. I'm not really interested who wins it, to be honest. I'm not a massive England fan, but I'll be interested. I'll be watching it because it's summer football and it's great and the sun's out and you can have a beer and you can watch two teams that you've got no affiliation with and that don't break your heart when they lose in games they shouldn't lose Do I think Carlo will be watching? Yeah, I do. And who do I think will win? I don't know, I don't really keep up with international football. It won't be England. But I don't really keep up with international football, so I couldn't tell you. Maybe France. Philip says they must know about the shitstorm they've caused. I expect a total different attitude. I expect a good win. Well, and this is it now. Phil. This is my biggest worry and my biggest concern going into tomorrow is that they don't know about the shitstorm they've caused. They don't know about how bad Sunday was. If they go out and they turn up and they put in a really good performance and they beat Wolves and they fight and they show effort and they show passion and we win, then I'll still be sitting here saying it's too little too late, and where was that fight against Sheffield United? But we can at least sit here and say, okay, they've identified that it wasn't good enough the other night. They've probably been absolutely ripped to bits and they've turned up and they've put in a reaction performance. My biggest worry is if we go out and again we just put in another lackadaisical home performance where we just aren't interested and we lose comfortably. That's my worry. James says, our fans are massive performance and there's future now. Ewan says, I think Everton needs to clear out this summer like Gylfi Sigurdsson and Gomez. We spoke about that yesterday, mate. You can only sell these players if clubs want to come in and buy them, to be honest, and who's going to want to come in and buy Andre Gomez for any real amount of money? Josh says Pickford's comments on the fans were good. Yeah, I think Jordan's been excellent recently. I think Jordan was the only player the other night that could walk off with his head held high, really put in a really solid performance. And yeah, I think he's been very good recently. Joseph says just put the kids on. Listen, mate, I wouldn't be against that whatsoever, but I don't think Carlo Ancelotti will do that. Max says, what kids? James says, Carlo is still a man for me, Cam. We knew a lot of these players weren't good enough. Carlo has what he has and the team will have big changes. Yeah, exactly. But I'm the same, mate. I'm the same. We've got to back Carlo now. We've got to go out in the summer and we've got to back him. We've got to back him to bring in the players that he wants, as well as Marcel Brands as well. By the way, this is the whole point of me and Tom sitting down yesterday, and we've got another couple of videos going up over the next couple of days, is Everton absolutely have to get their recruitment right this summer. We absolutely have to get their recruitment right. Tom said it brilliantly. He said the worry that he has is that, Everton, a lot of fans are saying Everton are, we're one summer away from being a Leicester, we're one summer away from being a Chelsea. He said we're not. The dangerous thing is we're one summer away from drifting off and just becoming a mid-table Premier League side and being that for the foreseeable future. So we absolutely have to get it right. This summer, we absolutely have to get it right. The recruitment's got to be right. We need to bring in the right players, the right profiles, the right ages, the right physicalities for this league, goal scoring wingers. And it's clear as day. It's absolutely clear as day. Myself, James, Andy, Stewie, C-Play, Sol, Eugene, we can all see it. We can all see what Everton need. So, surely Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti can see it as well. Andy says we should never have sent Gordon out on loan. Well, he hasn't even really played for Preston, to be honest with you. He hasn't had a great season there. So, again, I'm not too sure what's going on there. Stewie says, alright, Cam managed to get on this live. Is right, Stewie, thank you very much for joining us, mate. James says, only player that has stood up is Pickford. Can't fault the lad yet. I think Jordan's been excellent recently. C-Play says, I also forgot to say good morning, Cam. Hope your day is going well. Cheers, mate. Not long started the day. But yeah, it's not too bad so far. I hope yours is going well. Sol says, would like us to revert back to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. Well, we're going to talk about the predicted starting 11 in a moment for me. Ewan says, we'll see Carlo today. Yeah, he's got his press conference today. 1:30, maybe. something like that, I think. Luke says Pickford was the only one who looked bothered on Sunday. Absolutely. Stewie says guaranteed we'll win against Wolves because that sums up our season. Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Luke says also good morning, lads. Philip says Dave the dinner lady. Good morning, Luke. Josh says justice for Dave the dinner lady. And Sol says Richie is far more effective on the left or right with him receiving the ball more often. Why give Josh King a go? At least he'll offer some form of direction. But we don't know if Josh King's going to be fit, do we? Obviously he was injured the other night, and that's why he was that's why he was kept out of that game. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Does only take a second. Let's get into our predicted starting 11s then for this one. I've said over the last couple of weeks that couple of games that I think we should have stayed at the 5 at the back formation. I think it's the only formation that gives us any sort of width. Well, I'm throwing that out the window, to be honest, for this one, because let's be honest, we've got naff all to play for other than pride, which these players don't seem to care about, and league position, which again is that a motivation for these players. So I'm going for Jordan Pickford in goal again. Couldn't fault him the other night, absolutely couldn't fault him. I think he put in a really solid performance. Didn't have an awful lot to do, but he was the only player that really seemed like he was wanting it. He was screaming, he was shouting, he was getting in the faces of our players. He was sort of, throwing out commands. And let's be honest, Jordan Pickford looked like the only player who wanted to win that game. Looked like he had a bit of fight, looked like he had a bit of pride in himself. Everybody else just looked deflated and looked like they weren't interested, whereas Jordan didn't. So, again, I think he's been absolutely excellent since the turn of the year. I think he's been absolutely outstanding since the Merseyside derby. I haven't got anything bad to say about Jordan Pickford, and obviously he keeps his place tomorrow. I've then gone for a back 4, purely because I just we've been dreadful recently with a back 5, and we don't utilise the wide players anyway, so what's the point? I've gone for Luca Dean at left back. Thought he had one of his worst games in an Everton shirt the other night in terms of crossing ability. I thought he was really, really poor. Granted, he's had a very good season. He's been very solid for the majority of the season, so I'm not going to sit here and hold one bad performance against him, but Luca Dean needs to improve going into this one. We can't have another game where every cross is over Dominic Calvert-Lewin or every cross is put out to play. We need a solid performance by him tomorrow, and hopefully we do get that. I've gone for Yerry Mina and Ben Godfrey in the centre of the defence. Now, obviously, Carlo Ancelotti is due to have his pre-game press conference in about 2 hours or so, 3 hours or so, something like that. I'm completely guessing that Yerry Mina will be available for this game, by the way. Whether he will be or not is a completely different question. But it's sort of blind hope. Carlo said before the Sheffield United game that Yerry Mina is still suffering with an abductor problem, but hopefully we'll see him within the next 2 games before the end of the season. And like I said, I'm just putting blind hope in that he will be fit, because he's our best centre-half, and that isn't even up for debate. He's our best centre-half. So if he's fit, he goes straight in for me. Look, we've got 2 games to go, and then he's got a massive rest ahead of, obviously I think he goes away with Colombia probably in the summer. But yeah, for me, if Yerry Mina's fit, and I don't know whether he will be, you might be watching this at 5-6 o'clock tonight thinking, what are you talking about? Carlo said Yerry Mina isn't fit at the time of recording. Carlo hasn't had his pre-game press conference yet, and I'm just hoping, touching wood, that Yerry Mina is fit, and if he is, for me, he goes straight in to the team. I've gone with Ben Godfrey next to him. Look, Ben again has had a very, very good season this season, been very solid for the majority of it. He was at fault for the goal on Sunday. He was. There's no hiding from that. It was he completely left his man for some reason. I don't know why he did it, but he completely left his man, which was silly of him. And ultimately, young Jefferson got in the back post and slotted it away. But like I said, I'm not going to hold that against Ben Godfrey. He's been absolutely unbelievable this season. He's been arguably our player of the year next to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Certainly, I think he'll win young player of the year. Certainly. And yeah, he goes in at centre-half. And then I've got Seamus Coleman at right-back. Another player who I thought was shocking the other night was Seamus Coleman. But let's be honest, we've got nobody else to play there. You could say Mason Holgate. I don't think Mason offers us anywhere near enough as a forward-thinking player. And let's be honest, Mason hasn't had the greatest of times recently either, has he? So Seamus Coleman shouldn't be in this Everton team week in, week out, and hopefully next season he won't be, not because I don't like him, not because I don't respect him, but just because, you know, we need better. But ultimately at the moment we haven't got better. So Seamus Coleman is in at right back for me. So there's my back four. Going into the midfield then, I've gone with a 3 in midfield. It's a simple 3 really, and it's a 3 that we haven't seen at all recently, and I don't even know if we've seen all season, and I want to see it. It's Alan, Decore and Tom Davies as a 3. I will be very, very, very surprised if Tom Davies doesn't start this game. Very, very surprised. Not only because he should start it, because he's been absolutely excellent when he's played. Tim says hi all in chat. Cheers Tim, thanks for joining us. We will get in the comments in a moment, by the way. But because he should be playing, Tom Davies. He absolutely should be playing. He's done nothing wrong all season. He's been excellent when he's played, and he seems to be at the moment, or certainly, you know, when you look at the West Ham results and performance, and then you look at Villa results, and then you look at Sheffield United, Tom Davies seems to be that player that comes in and shows that bit of fight, shows that bit of grit, shows that spine, shows that gut, and that then gives everybody else a kick up the arse. I think that's what we've seen against against West Ham. As Tom Davies come into the team, didn't put a foot wrong, by the way, performed excellently, but also showed that fight, showed that grit, showed that passion, showed that determination, and that ultimately rubbed off on everybody else. Cream pie, I don't quite know what you're talking about there, but you absolutely can't, mate. No, you absolutely... I don't know whether it's some sort of sick thing, but no, not at all. And the fact you've even asked it is disgusting. So yeah, Tom Davies for me absolutely has to be in this team. No doubt about it. He's got to start. Next to him, obviously Alan Abdoulaye Decore. Yeah, again, look, I also think having Tom Davies in the team helps Alan massively, because what we saw on Sunday against Sheffield United is Alan, for their goal, got caught. He got caught by practically trying to run out and be attracted to the ball, and the Sheffield United player just went, see you later, turned them round and ended up in yards of space in the box. Now, that's the type of footballer Alan is. Alan will go into challenges, he will be attracted to the ball, he'll be attracted to making that challenge, and when he gets turned, if you've got somebody like a Tom Davies behind him to do the sweeping up, that's fine, because when Tom Davies is on the pitch, it allows Alan to get forward, it allows Alan to, you know, create those chances, it allows Alan to move into those areas and take players on like he did against West Ham. He was world class against West Ham. Why was he world class against West Ham? Because he was looking over his shoulder thinking, right, I can trust Tom Davies to be behind me and to do any sweeping up that he has to do. Alan can't do that with Gomez in the team. He can't do that with just Decore in the team. He can't trust that midfield without Tom Davies. So Tom Davies being in there massively benefits Alan as well, because it allows him to be a little bit more free. It allows him to get forward a little bit more. Decore in there for the energy, of course. Look, he hasn't had the greatest of times, has he, since returning from injury. You can tell he's clearly not 100% fit. You can tell he's clearly not, fully recovered. But maybe ultimately, in order for him to fully recover, he needs game time, a little bit like Alan did. So I think Decore will start again tomorrow. And then I've gone for a front three. Hammers on the right, Richie on the left, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. I think we need to revert back to a sort of 3 up front now with wingers, and maybe give Richarlison a chance to play on the left or right again, but it's probably going to be the left, isn't it? Look, he's he's struggled up top, hasn't he? Him and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. As much as I want them to have a partnership, and as much as I think last season, at the end of last season, they had a partnership, for some reason this season they just can't do it. They just can't do it together. They just can't combine together. They just can't work with each other. They just don't seem to have the chemistry. I don't know why. I don't know how it gets fixed, but they just can't play as a duo. They just can't play as a partnership. So therefore, instead of continuing to beat the dead horse and sort of try and think that something will miraculously change overnight, it won't. Put Richarlison back on the wing at the left-hand side, play Hammers off the right, and obviously he'll come inside and create from inside, and have Dom as the lone striker and see how that goes. So there you go. That is my predicted starting 11. Not when he's so rude to me. Mate, do me a favour. See you later. I'm gone. I don't know whether I've just sent out the know. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's my predicted starting 11 for tomorrow's game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you're watching live, let me know your thoughts live. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your comments in the comment section. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Really do appreciate that one. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game tomorrow. It really, really is. Not only because Wolves have got some quality. Look, Wolves have had a up and down, topsy-turvy season, like I said. But ultimately, Everton have been absolutely dross at Goodison Park, and I stick with the point that I said last week, and I've said it multiple times this season. I honestly think at the moment I could get 11 of my mates together, play Everton at Goodison, and we'd win, because Everton are just dreadful at home this season, and it's down to these players, it's down to this manager to go out and show 6,500 fans and hundreds of thousands of others that are going on around the world that we can turn up and we can perform, and these players do care and they do want to sign for they do want to continue to play for Everton. Tim says, share on all platforms please and subscribe. Is right, Tim, thank you very much. Eugene says, breaking news, Southampton agree in principle to re-sign Theo Walcott. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll have to have a look at that. If so, I'm not surprised about that one. James says, Cam, your starting 11 seems okay, lad. Cheers, mate. Tim says, smash the like please. He also says, Everton started awesome start off to the season and went downhill a bit. Why do you think that was, please? Injuries, not enough squad depth, running out of ideas, dreadful home form. There's a lot of different reasons, mate. James says Coleman will always be a legend, but we need to change the right cam. Spot on. James also says we need width and pace. We have none. As he says, I'm playing Kunku. Another look at the lad. Holgate can miss this one out, and Dean at left centre back. What would you say? I wouldn't have Dean at left centre back, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's tall enough. Stewie says shared on Twitter before, by the way. Thank you very much, Stewie. Really, really do appreciate that. Honestly, it means a massive amount to me. I wouldn't play Dean left centre back. I'd have Dean left back and Godfrey left centre back, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't mind seeing Kunku maybe in more of an attacking position, but I don't think we'll see him. So Eugene says, what's your score prediction? I'm gonna go. Look, it's so hard, because on one hand I can see Everton turning up and fighting and battling and putting in a really good performance and winning this game, and then we all sort of sit here and say, you know, where was that performance all season? But in another hand, I can see Everton turning up and doing exactly what we've done, you know, all season at Goodison, and basically just get steamrolled and end the season in the way in which, you know, the season's gone, really, and that's disappointing home defeat after home defeat after home defeat. I'll go optimistic. I'll go 2-1. Just because I do think there'll be a bit more about them. I think they'll show fight. I don't think they'll turn up and put that type of performance in like they did against Sheffield United, because they won't get away with it. They really, really won't get away with it. C-Play says, come on, let's get Cam to 4K subs. He deserves to be a very big YouTuber. I hope you do very well at this, Cam. You're so fun and interesting to listen to. Thank you very much, mate. Really, really do appreciate that, mate. Honestly, we're so close to 4,000 subscribers, only a couple of hundred off, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a great deal to me. Sol says, Cam, do you see Alan as a 6 in his own? There you go, just come through. Southampton confirmed permanent Walcott deal. Brilliant. Sol says, Cam, do you see Alan as a 6 on his own in the future for Everton? Personally think he needs another holding midfielder in order for him to win the ball up the pitch. I do. But I think Alan benefits from having somebody like a Tom Davis there as well, to help him out, and that's why I want to see Tom Davis in the team tomorrow, to be honest with you. But look, Alan is in his 30s now, so, you know, in 3 or 4 years' time, Alan will probably be leaving Everton Football Club. He certainly should be being phased out in 2, 3 years, 4 years' time, so, you know, who knows. James says, good listening to your podcast on Toffee TV, mate. It was a good listen. Thanks. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to end it there then. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments, as per usual. Lucas says, Walcott has agreed a permanent with Southampton. Just seen it, mate. James says, fair point, mate. Might see in Kunku more next year, potentially. Stewie says, Cam, I'll message you on Twitter. I want to sponsor your channel in the future if all goes well on my end. Yeah, defo, drop us a message, mate. You know, drop us a message and we'll sort it out 100%. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Look, difficult game for Everton tomorrow, final home game of the season. I'm not confident. I'm really not confident, because I think we'll end the season as we've had the majority of it, which is disappointing defeat after disappointing defeat at Goodison. But, you know, 6,500 fans, if you're going, then enjoy it, soak it up, revel in the fact that you're back at Goodison Park and that some form of normality is returning to us after what's been an extremely difficult sort of 18 months. And yeah, look, whatever happens on the pitch, whatever happens, doesn't it? Let's be perfectly honest with you, with ourselves. I'm not expecting much. The season's over. The season's done with. And yeah, whatever happens really with this one. C-Play says it's not about YouTube, it's about passion like what us and Cam has for Everton. That's what makes you successful. Well, yeah, look, you know, I've been an Evertonian all my life, so that passion is firmly there. We will be back tomorrow before the game. By the way, we'll have another transfer video. Myself and Tom sat down and talked about midfielders and how Everton need to improve our midfield going into next season. So that'll be up prior to the game, probably around lunchtime. And then, of course, we'll have the instant match reaction and the play ratings up directly after the game. So look out for that one. Look, hopefully we end the season strongly. Hopefully we end the season on a positive. Whether we will or not is up to these players. These players now need to go out like they went out on Sunday and put in a spineless, gutless, pathetic performance. They need to go out and put in a exciting, brilliant performance with grit, determination, fight, passion. It's on them to go out and do that. It's on Carlo Ancelotti to make sure these players go out and do that. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Massive game tomorrow. If we can get the win, then that'll do. Won't do much for us except league position, but it's an extra couple of million in it. Big thanks for watching. Massive thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Watching the YouTube video, leave your comments in the comment section down below. And we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. Ta-ra.